Hello and welcome back everyone to the fifth video of Python for Beginners tutorial series, and in this video we'll be discussing strings in Python. Alright guys, so before moving ahead, I wish to add a few points here. In this notebook, I'm using cells that are pre-written with code. I'm doing this because this would allow me to keep the video short and give you a proper explanation. Also, I would encourage you to download these notebooks and try running these codes on your own personal computer, and also try to manipulate these codes and play with them once you are done watching these videos. Alright, so let us move on to our main section. What are strings? Strings are nothing but set of characters that are either enclosed between single quotes or double quotes. For example, let us move on to this cell. Here I have taken a variable as my string and I have stored a value, this is my string, in this variable between double quotes. In the same cell, I have used this print function to print the string and also the type function to check the type of it. I'll go ahead and run the cell, and you would notice that it printed this is my string and the type gave us string. Alright, let us now go ahead and change these double quotes with single ones and rerun the cell, and you'd see that there was no change. Moving on, let us see if we wanted to print a string like this, which included a quotation in between that was wrapped around single quotes. For that, let us create a variable quote and try to store this string inside it. So I have begun with the single string, but here we need double string. So let me just replace them with double strings, and then here we want single string. So I'll just go ahead and replace these double quotes with single ones, and here we go. I'll print the quote and run the cell, and you would see we got the expected output here. The key takeaway here is that you need to first enclose the string with the double quote and then use the single quote inside it. Moving on to multi-line strings. Now there might arise cases in which you need multiple lines inside a string, and for that you're gonna be using triple quote. That is nothing but single quote typed thrice. Here we'll use triple quote to store a string inside the variable multi-line string, and we'll type three lines. First line of string, second line of string, here is the third line, and we'll print the multi-line string. So as expected, we got a multi-line string here. Let us now go ahead and see how we can use some of the built-in functions to change the casing of the letters that are stored inside a string. For that, I'll quickly go ahead and create a variable as first name and store the value Eric in it. I'll run the cell. And now I will use these built-in methods .lower, .title, .upper. And in the next cell, I have demonstrated these methods, all three of them. I'll quickly go ahead and comment these other two, which will prevent these line of codes from running, and run the first line, which says print first name .title. Let us go ahead and run the cell. And as you can see, it took the first letter of the string and converted it into the uppercase. Here, as written here, converts the first letter of the string to uppercase. Let us comment this line. Go with the second. In this line, we have used .upper method, which converts all lowercase letters into uppercase letters of a string. I'll run the cell, and you'd see that all the lowercase letters are now converted into uppercase on using .upper method on a string. I'll comment this as well and uncomment the third one, which says .lower. Now these are already in the these letters in the string are already in the lowercase, so there would be no effect, and we get the output as Eric. We get the output with all letters in lowercase. And if we take a look at the variable that we created here, and you would see that it remains unchanged because we did not reassign the value of the changed format. Let us go ahead and let us move on to length of the strings. So you can use this len function, len parentheses function, which returns the length of the string. Here we have the variable as first name. We'll apply this len function on it. I'll run the cell, and you'd see that it returned us a value as 4. That means we had 4 letters inside that string. That was the length of it. Now comes concatenation, one of the most important concepts in strings, which is very useful. Let us now say that we have a first name as Ada, EDA, and we have last name as Lovelace. And now we want to combine these two variables, first name and last name, to form third variable as full name. I'll run the first cell, and now I'll say full name equals to first name plus symbol here, and I'll insert a space here. Space is nothing but double quotes or single quotes and one space, because we want space in between two words of a name. And I'll say plus last name. I would also go ahead and print the full name. I'll print it, and you'll see that it gave us the full name Lovelace. Now I'll quickly go ahead and use the title method that we discussed earlier to convert the first letter of the string to uppercase and the second letter as well. Let us go ahead and see if it works. So instead of writing another line, let me just quickly use the title method in this string here only, and I'll run the cell, and you'd see that the first letter of each string that was individually stored earlier as Ada and Lovelace got converted into uppercase. And that is what title method does. Alright, so moving on to another cell. Here it says you can use as many plus signs as you want in composing a method. In fact, many web pages are written as giant strings which are put together through a long series of concatenation. Here, let us say you want a message for the user, and the user's full name is this that we just assigned. So you can just write full name and convert the string into title, which will make the first letter of the string as uppercase, and then insert a space after the plus sign and then plus, and then you can write the desired string. I'll run the cell, and you can see we got the message, which includes the full name that we passed here.
Alright guys, so moving on to formatting in strings. Now formatting can be done in multiple ways. Let us first look at the old style, which uses a modulo operator to format a string. Now what formatting is actually, let us take an example and try to understand. Let us say you want to print a message to the user as hello, then the username. It could be hello John, hello Eric, hello Aman. It can be any other username, which could be stored in a variable like name equals to John. Now let us say that you want to use this variable name into a string. I want to create a string greet, and inside it I want to write hello, then the username. Now in order to put this username here, which is stored in this variable name, I'd use the format specifier %s. I'll go ahead and type %s, and after that, outside this, I would use this % and pass in the variable that I want in place of this format specifier. In this case, that is name. So I'll pass in that, and then I'll go ahead and print my greet. I'll run the cell, and you'd see that it says hello John. If I go ahead and replace this John with Aman and run the cell, it would say hello Aman. So what we did is we incorporated this variable name into this string. Now let us say we have multiple variables to be formatted in a string. I'll create another cell. Let us say we have a name. Again, let us call it John, and say age as 32, and also place he resides. Let us say London. And now let us say we want a string that says John is 32 years old and his hometown is London. Alright, so let us make a variable as string and say first we need the name, so I would use percent %s is percent %d because it's an integer, years old dot, and his hometown is percent %s as it is a string. And now I'll use this percent operator and pass in the variables inside a tuples position wise. So first I need the name, so I'll put name in because it is in the first position. Sorry, I spelled it wrong. Name, then comes the age, and then comes the place. Let us also go ahead and try to print this string, and let us run the cell, and the error says a number is required, not string. So here you notice that we enclosed 32 inside double quotes, which made it a string. So I'll quickly go ahead and remove the quotes and rerun the cell, and you'd see our desired string has now been generated. John is 32 years old and his hometown is London. Alright, so now let us go ahead and see another style in which formatting is done. In this style, the percent operator is taken away, and instead we use format function to do the simple positional formatting. Let us go ahead and take a look. Let us say we have a variable name as Aman and a number as 32, and we want a string that says hello Aman, 32. So in order to do that, I would just say my string, and then on that string I'll use dot format and pass in the variables position wise and print the string. So as expected, it said hello. The first placeholder came and it went onto the variable which said Aman, then came comma, and then came another placeholder which pointed to number, which went back to 32, and the 32 got printed. And in the next cell, the formatting gets even simpler. In this, we only use a F and then we type out a string. And in between, we use curly braces to pass in the variables that we want. So in this case, we want hello, then the name, then UR, then the number as 32 that we stored, and years old, the rest of the string. I'll run the cell and it says hello Aman because Aman came in place of name, and you are 32 years old, 32 came in place of number. Moving on to the next cell, we can even pass expressions inside these curly braces, which could further get calculated. Let us go ahead and run the cell and see the output, and you'd see sum of 1 and 2 is 3. 3 came after the calculation of 1 plus 2, the expression. Moving on, let us see repetition in strings. So repetition simply creates new strings concatenating multiple copies of the same string. Let us say this is the string Aman and you multiply it with 2. Let us run the cell. It basically got concatenated 2 times. Alright guys, so let us go ahead now and take a look at slicing on strings. Slicing is basically used on strings to obtain a substring. Let us say from the string which stores the value Aman Bhargava, you want to extract Aman, which is a substring of this whole string. So for that, you would want to begin from the 0th position and go till the 3rd. And just to let you know guys that indexing in Python starts with 0. That means the A is stored at the 0th position, the M is stored at the 1st position, and so on. So in this case, let us go ahead and retrieve this substring which says Aman. I'll run the cell. Before running, let me explain this piece of code. On this string, I've used square brackets as the syntax says, and I've passed the starting value as the 0 and the end value to be 4, which will not be included. I'll go ahead and run the cell, and it says string is not defined, which means we need to run this cell first. I'll run this cell first and then run this one again. So as expected, we got the output as Aman. What is this third parameter that says as steps? Now let us see what step does with an example. So let me just insert a cell and copy the previous code. And here, let me include the third parameter and pass in 2 in this. Let us run the cell, and you'd notice that we got A and A. So what this third parameter did is it took a step of 2. That means it took a gap of 2 to select the characters from a string. We started with 0, we skipped the first one, and then we went on to the second and we picked it. And then we skipped the third one and we went on to the fourth, which is not included. That means the end value is not included and we got the substring as AA. Let us take few more examples. Let us say I wrote something like this. I'll run the cell and you notice that I did not pass in the start value. So it took the start value as 0 by default. Let us just pass in the value for start as 2 and let us just take out the end value and let us see what happens. So you notice that it started from 2 and it went up till the string end, which means the end was automatically set to whatever the last value was in that string. Alright, let us move on and see what white spaces are. The term white space refers to the characters that the computer is aware of but are invisible to readers. White space basically means this gap that you have between hello and everyone, which means something to the computer but is nothing for the reader. Now the most common white spaces are the space, the tabs and new lines. Tab is nothing but 4 spaces. Now in order to insert a tab, we'd use /t. Now let us say we want to insert a tab before this hello everyone string. I'll run the cell and you'd see that we got 4 spaces before this string. Let us say we want to insert the tab in between hello and everyone. I'll run the cell and you'd see we got a gap of 4 spaces between hello and everyone. Let us move on and see how we can insert a new line. I'll print hello everyone so that you can compare the difference, and let me now insert a new line before hello everyone, and you'd see that we got a new line before hello everyone. Let me insert a new line between hello and everyone. I'll run the cell and you'd see that we got hello, then we moved to the new line and printed everyone. Alright, so here are some of the exercises for which I have included the solutions below, and I would encourage you all to go through these exercises once on your own and then try to look at their solutions, which I have provided below. Alright guys, so thank you so much. This is it for the video. And if you find the video informative, please support the channel by liking the video, commenting down below and sharing the video. Thank you so much again.